opportunity to enjoy some good music. We are now speaking with Mr. Don Mullenix. I did pronounce that right.
Mullenix, that's correct.
All right. He is a candidate for Justice of the Peace for District 5. Once again, KLK and the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council does not endorse nor support any candidate for office, nor was any compensation provided for this interview. This interview is provided for informational purposes only. How you doing today, Mr. Mullenix?
Doing great. How y'all this morning?
All right.
All right. So
Glad to be here.
All right. As always, we'll start off with tell the listeners about yourself and your background.
Well, I'm Don Mullenix. I'm a former Jonesboro City Councilman. I've lived here in Jonesboro area since the mid-1970s. I've served on the council in the 90s. Since then, I've owned and operate a Mullenix Investigation, which is a private investigative company here in the area. And I had the opportunity as a police officer. I graduated out of the police academy, and as a police officer, I had the opportunity to go to schools where we're trained as certified narcotic officers. I graduated out of that in 2006, and since then, of course, I still stay in police work. I'm elected constable for Craighead County and District 5 now, which is the same district I'm running for as Justice of the Peace. But I work mainly a lot of work with CASA. I used to do and still do.
Oh, they got a 5K coming up that we're sponsoring.
Yeah, I do the drugs for CASA for a lot of areas. I did the statewide a couple of years ago down at convention in Little Rock. So there's a lot of counties that still call me, and I do a program called Walk In, Walk Out Safely.
All right, now, Mr. Mullenix, just let the listeners know what territory does District 5 cover?
District 5 is mainly the inner city of Jonesboro. If you go to Highland Drive, take it down to Cover House, and then you go over to Cover House and go downtown, and you hit part of Johnson Street, you hit down Matthews, then you take Nettleton all the way down to where Highland runs into Highway 18, and then you come back, be coming back west on Highway 18. So you've got mainly downtown, the mall, the Jonesboro High School, MacArthur School. You've got
Inner part of Jonesboro. What for the listeners that may not know?
For the Justice of the Peace, they're going to be pretty much the same. On Justice of the Peace, it's pretty much the same thing as Jonesboro City Council.
Okay.
The same things. We were there when I did that. I was in different departments, and one of the departments that I'm proud to say to the listeners is the late Cecil Providence, myself, Donnie Wise, and also we were the ones that started the recycling program for Jonesboro, and we were the ones that initiated that, I think. And Jim Hanna was was the chairman of that committee, but we started that back in the 90s, and that's where the recycling program started out in Jonesboro.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Mullenix, why did you decide to run for Justice of the Peace? And if you are elected, will you still be able to fulfill your role as a constable, or would you have to give that up?
My role as a constable, I'm going to retire the second time. I retired in 2009 as chief of police, and in January the 1st of this year, I am 70 years old. And I am retiring from police work.
Okay.
So
thank you for your years of
promotion.
Well, thank you for your years of service as an officer.
Thank you. I also served in the service from 1962 to 66 active.
Wow.
And then from 1966 to 1968 as a reserve. So
well, thank you for your service to that too.
I'm one of the Vietnam veteran area people.
Wow.
All right, so basically you're retiring from police work and you still want to serve, so you're going to serve if you are elected in the form of a Justice of the Peace.
Yes, sir. My main objective is it's pretty much the same thing that I've always had for Jonesboro. And one thing is like last night at our block party, my officers, of course, we formed a Craighead County Constable Association, and last night you saw 5 patrol cars there that we have just now purchased and put together. But what I will do on the as far as a Justice of the Peace, I will still be working for rid of our county of meth labs, drug dealers, illegal solicitation, and things of that sort. So I'll still be working for that, and I'll also want to amp up new programs for our community as far as the drug awareness.
Okay.
You know, I will still teach, and hopefully I will get to come in. Being a justice of the peace, hopefully will open me some doors where at one time I had talked to some superintendents about doing drug classes into the schools where our other programs stop.
Okay.
And that is where I'm trying to get into that also.
I think that it's very much needed because, as we were talking off air, there's so many new types of drugs, or there are new ways that children are finding to get high. I hate to say, more so than the adults. And so we definitely want to grab these children while they're young to prevent them from getting hooked and, you know, lead to some other issues down the road as they become adults. So I really hope that program gets off the ground. So.
Yeah, here's the bad thing about it is when children, children see what parents do. Mm-hmm. Children see what their friends do, and then they think they need to be in a little gang or something, and they're not really in gang members, but they're just in a little group of their own.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the little group of their own, if they stay into where somebody starts using drugs or something like that, later on they do get into gangs.
Okay.
And then from then, the next thing you know, they've dropped out of school, and they don't have a job, and their job is delivery, manufacturing, possession, and doing things with the drug at the legal world, and that's where they go from there on into their life is destroyed.
That's right. Alrighty, so you talked about your experiences that you've had so far being constable, chief of police in another city. What city or what area? Can you explain that a little more to the listeners where you were chief of police?
Well, my last place that I was chief of police at was in Cache, Arkansas.
Cache, okay.
Yeah, it was in 2009 when I left there.
Okay.
And when we were off air, you mentioned that you preferred small town police work as opposed to bigger city police work. Why is that?
Well, small town police, being a police officer in a small town gives me the opportunity to work. It's a full-time, but it's a part-time job. And I own and operate Mullenix Investigation, which is a company that I own, and I started it in 1997, and that's basically what where all of my training and things come from. I graduated out of the Arkansas Private Investigator School also, but all my training is when you go to drug school to be certified as a narcotic officer, you're picking up classes at different parts of the state, and a lot of big departments, they can't let their officers go that long.
Okay.
So that's the reason I always stayed someplace, because where I made a living to support my family was being a private investigator.
Okay.
That's where my income came from that. And I used the police work for training, going to schools.
Okay. And so you mentioned that, if you are elected for this new position, you want to bring more drug awareness classes in. What are some other issues that are of importance to you, or that citizens may have expressed that they would like to see tackled?
Well, there's Jonesboro. I think the biggest problem, there's people that's running for quorum court, and there's people running for city council, and there's people running for mayor. Everybody's got their own agenda.
Okay.
My agenda is kind of one thing. I'm not the guy that can I'm not a finance person.
Okay.
But I'm the guy that wants to go out there, and I will not vote or look at anything unless I go see what goes on in that area.
Okay.
So when things come up for the quorum court, I'm going to have knowledge of what that issue is going to be, and we have issues in the county, and then of course they overflow in the city. Me being on JP for District 5, I'm down here, I'm in the city. I'm not in the county whatsoever, but I have to represent the citizens for the city of Jonesboro and also for the citizens of Craighead County.
Okay.
What I would like to see is where we as council members and quorum court members could all get together, and we've got issues that overflow into the county out of the city because of one thing. If Jonesboro Police Department push a great initiative on doing drugs, we're going to push like we pushed down here lately for safety for the city. We're stopping all people for small traffic things that we normally wouldn't stop them for because of the bumper too close together and riding like that. You seen that? Well, you go back into the drug world, and what you do, if you run the drug dealers out of Jonesboro, guess what they're doing? They're going out in the county. So you've got, this all has to be coordinated together, and you have to be where you can speak with the people in the county as well as the people in the city. That's certainly not trying to micromanage the sheriff's department or Rick Elliott's department. That's not that. It's to where you can have an input where you can find funds, maybe general funds, and also bring up things at your meeting that would help both agencies.
Okay.
And another example of that, and this actually kind of goes into the interview we had previously today and some of our other previous interviews, is where, okay, with the flooding and the drainage, okay, the city can do their part to clean it up, but the water runs, it runs somewhere, and it may get into parts of the county where those other areas may not have the funding or the resources to do their part, and then you still got flooding, and some of it may back up and go back to the city of Jonesboro. So if you are on the quorum court, what would you do to coordinate flooding efforts throughout the whole county so that there's not a bottleneck in one corner of the county and the other parts of the county are doing fine?
Well, one thing that you'll hear all the time, we're going to study. We got Corps of Engineers studies, and this is something we did in the 90s. We had Corps of Engineers came in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and expressed, this is what we need to do. We need to do this. Take the water, take it out of Jonesboro. We had to do drainage and stuff, and all the water needed to flow out of Jonesboro and take it south, and it needed to end up towards the floodway bridges. And that was the objective of doing that. Since then, we've got some water retention ponds that are built here in the city. But when the city and the county, they need, the city itself. I live on Melody Lane, and the first time here, this 2 months ago, was the first time I could see water standing in my neighbor's house. I live on top of a hill, but he lived on the bottom of Melody Lane, and I've lived there 33 years. That's the first time I saw water on a person's front on their tire, way up on the top of it. So, and I also was on duty that night, and I was standing on Highland Drive there by Chuck E. Cheese directing traffic, and water was flowing across Highland Drive up to my knees. So I don't know what the solution is. I'm not an engineer, but I'm the guy that wants to go out there and say, hey, we need to do the city and the county needs to get together, and whatever we need to come up, we don't need to do any more studying. Take the studies we've already done and say, which one of these is going to be the best issue to help eliminate our problem here in Jonesboro as far as drainage.
Alrighty. How do you feel about, there was a comment made by another candidate for another position. They brought up about bringing some interns in, just like from Arkansas State, that are studying engineering, and something along the lines of this issue. How would you feel about having some of those young, fresh ideas, possibly come in? Not that you would necessarily implement all of their ideas, but they may have a different perspective on how to implement some of the things that have been brought up in the studies.
Here's something that's real amazing. We're sitting in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and if you want a vast knowledge, we don't have very far to walk.
Okay.
We got very, very, very short distance between here and ASU. ASU has got some of the brightest minds, brightest professors, and they've got, well, I don't call them kids. I'm 70, so I can call them kids. I'm a senior, I can call them kids at 70. But we have some college students out there that if it's like the engineering department, anything that they can come in, if they want to do an internship here in Jonesboro, it's like my son when he went to law school. He did it, he did insurance when he did externships for different judges.
Okay.
He learned something from that. Well, ASU students, we can do internships with those engineers and just think it out the vast different ideas that they will come up with when you get 6 or 7 minds together and you got very bright, intelligent people that's going to college to get a degree in that. Every one of them's going to have they all going to have the same principle, but each one of them has a different idea, maybe how to accomplish it. Okay. So if you gave their input and to our people, all you're going to do there is a win-win situation. Okay. I'd be 100% 50% for that.
All right, and then of course, we know that it costs money to do various things. So, what influence does the quorum court have on, I guess you're saying, the budget? We know it costs money to do anything. So, what influence does the quorum court have on deciding where money gets spent, how it gets spent for the county?
Well, mainly, a lot of that's going to the department heads. It's just like me back on city council, something I can walk into and not be, no one has to say, Don, this is what we do. Same thing on the city council. Each department head makes his own budget up. Okay. This is what he needs to run his or her budget. Let me rephrase that.
Okay.
His or her budget. And each department head puts in how much money they used, and then they go back and look what they spent last year. This year here, on the budgets come up from the quorum court, we've got a set part of the budget, but one of the big issues coming up is like in Bono Lake, or Lake Bono,
okay,
which had an overcarry of last year of like $2,181 left in that account. And that was over from the money that was that 1 cent the sales tax we did to build Bono Lake.
Okay.
So that department is, it only has $2,000 in it. But the other departments is you go look for the needs of it in Craighead County. All of the money, you can say the citizens, all the money that you're going to spend in Craighead County really comes in 3 departments. It's your road department, it's your sheriff's department, and it's your jail.
Okay.
That's where the bulk of all the money that goes to the quorum court, the bulk of the money that comes into the county is for those 3 items.
Okay.
And the sheriff department would be different from the jail. The jail and the sheriff department, those are separated,
okay,
but that and the road department takes the biggest part of the county's money.
Okay. We're speaking with Mr. Don Mullenix. Okay. He is running for Justice of the Peace. Is it of the peace or Justice
of the Peace?
Justice of the Peace.
Oh, you can put it Quorum Court.
Quorum Court, okay. And he's running for District 5. If you have any questions, we have a few moments left in this segment. You can call 870-277-1080, or you can also watch us live on Facebook and YouTube. Okay. So with the last few moments that we have about 2.5 minutes, I want us to give you the opportunity to express any of the concerns that the citizens have brought to your attention, anything that we haven't covered, and just, express the importance of your position, why people should vote for you. I want to give you the opportunity to express whatever else you would like to say.
Well, if people citizens will remember me, especially in the black community. When I was on the city council, E. Boone Watson Community Center was my pet project.
Okay.
I walked in there and I walked in there and Mr. Rogers was the person that took care of that particular building at that time. And I was watching the children in there come in, and a lot of them was wearing sunglasses, and I was asking Roger, and he found out real quick. We had almost neglected that center, and the lights on the wall, on the ceiling, they were mainly old lights that come off the streets, and you couldn't look to play basketball, because if you did, you would wear sunglasses. So they didn't have air conditioning. They didn't have a refrigerator. They didn't have a lot of things. So I went and made that my project, and then I inadvertently went and did one thing. I helped with some college professors, said, if you'll fix the place up, we'll do this. We'll come in and we'll teach the children. We'll give them classes. We will do things. We'll put plays on. We had to fix the stage, put the curtains up. We fixed a lot of things.
Okay.
Well, the only way you can look at it, and I look at it, is if you have children and you can get them off the street and get them into a structured program in the afternoons. You can get them in something that they want to be in. It's like last night at the block party. They was kids, there was children there. There were parents, they were young children. They were 13, 5, 8, 10, and they were married couples. And everybody got together and they had a group. And out of that group, we had we had a good rapport from all of them.
Oh, great.
All right. We thank you, Mr. Mullenix. He is running for Justice of the Peace for District 5. KLK and the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council does not endorse nor support any candidate for office, nor was any compensation provided for this interview. This interview was provided for informational purposes only. We thank you, Mr. Mullenix, for stopping by the studio. Don't forget, coming up at the top of the noon hour, the final mayoral debate, streaming live from Barn Hills. You're listening to Community Conversations. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.